Right. So yeah, I thought I'd share the latest on the tunnel project. So yeah, you already got the date for when we'll have the trains running. So the 24th of December 24. So easy date to remember. Learned that from my Chinese friends that you should always pick dates like that. But yeah, so maybe before going into the current status, so if you look at how I got myself into building the tunnel, is that I was actually at latitude 59, so kind of like the slush of Tallinn, if you will, 2 years ago. And then we're sitting there with a few friends from Finland and Estonia, I mean, as you do over dinner at latitude, and then just started talking about the fact that, lots of fantastic collaboration between Helsinki and Tallinn, and it's just like a pain that we don't have the helicopter rides that we used to have. That was like a 20-minute ride between Helsinki and Tallinn. That it takes 2 hours by ferry, and then of course we started talking about the tunnel, and then I said, okay, let's make it happen. And then of course I figured that it's probably good to keep the governments up to date on what's going on. And then we were at this fancy latitude 59 dinner. So the table next to us, we had then foreign minister of Estonia. So I walked over to her and told her that we actually decided to build the tunnel. And then she was looking at me that who exactly? And I said, me, and then you see those guys in the table over there. So we decided to make it so. And we're going to make it in 5 years. And then she, of course, I don't know, for some reason she was laughing, and I don't know, she didn't take me seriously. And then the following weekend I went to this construction industry hackathon here in Helsinki, and I was asked to do kind of like an inspirational speech and talk a little bit about the impact of new technology and digitalization and all of this on the construction industry, which is one of the most conservative industries on the planet. So then I went there, and this was like a Saturday, and then I actually shared with the audience that we are kind of like in the same business, that together with a few friends decided to build this tunnel between Helsinki and Tallinn. And yeah, then of course few people there were a bit skeptical about the project as well. But then I was actually very lucky that we had one of the guys from GTK, so the geological survey authority or office here in Finland, and said that yeah, I mean, it's very good rock or foundation to build on, because I mean, you start from Helsinki and it's all solid bedrock, granite, all the way to Tallinn, and then you run into a bit of sand and clay, but that's also easy to deal with. And then what happened the following day was that I got a call from Helsingin Sanomat, because apparently this little construction industry hackathon had been streamed on the internet, and nowadays you always have to be careful what you say, because it's all very public. So then the guy from Helsingin Sanomat said that, oh, he saw this talk that I gave about this tunnel project. It must be a joke, right? I said, no, I mean, we're very serious, we're going to make it happen. Okay, then roughly at the same time there was the announcement that in Switzerland they had completed the world's longest tunnel, longest railroad tunnel, the Gotthard Tunnel under the Alps. And of course then I started reading about that, and got a bit concerned when I realized that it had taken them almost 20 years to build this, not so long tunnel of 58 kilometers or something like that. But also found out that Pöyry, one of the great Finnish engineering companies, that they had been involved in building the Gotthard Tunnel. So got in touch with Pöyry, and we started talking about how you build tunnels, because of course I don't have any background in building tunnels. That's probably pretty obvious. And then actually I was told that, building this in 5 years is actually very much doable. Because first of all, we are very fortunate to have very good quality ground. So I mean, it is like solid bedrock and all of that. So that actually makes it much easier than, for example, under the Alps, because there you have a lot of, stress, and the Alps are, like not standing still. There's like a lot of motion and stuff. So you have to actually really build it quite differently. And the most important benefit that we have is that we are not under the Alps. We are actually under the sea. So what we can do is we can actually drill from several locations. We can drill in several directions at the same time. So that was kind of like good news, that we can actually physically drill the tunnel pipes in like 2 years. So it's just like applying enough like TBMs, so these tunnel boring machines, to the problem. So then we started working on that. Then Pöyry also provided a list of all the different permits, environmental permits, planning permits, all of these like things that we need to have in place. So we have some tens of different like things that need either national or local government or regional government like approval. So we started doing that already almost 2 years ago actually. And then also started together with Pöyry, EINS, so A-Insinöörit and Fira. We brought together this consortium to actually then start doing the more detailed planning and actually make this tunnel, real. And then very quickly realized that if we want to have this done in 5 years, as I said, we have to drill in several directions. And also another thing, when you then construct a tunnel that will be over 100 kilometers in length, you end up with a lot of material, a lot of rock that you need to put somewhere. And that actually typically is a pretty big item on the budget, big expense. So what we are doing, again, we want to do the 5-year, construction project here. So we will start from the airport in Helsinki, and then from Ülemiste, so that's the area of the airport in Tallinn, start drilling, from Helsinki towards Tallinn and from Tallinn towards Helsinki. But then we will also start 15 kilometers off the coast of Helsinki. So there's this area where you only have between 10 and 20 meters of depth. So that's the location of the first island. So we drill in both directions. And then same thing outside of the coast of Estonia, outside the coast of Tallinn. There's going to be a smaller island, and we drill in both directions. So we will have 12 of these tunnel boring machines drilling in 6 directions at the same time, which means that we can quite easily do the physical boring of the tunnels in 2 years. So that's something that, again, if you ask, the experts and not me, it's actually technically almost trivial. I mean, the quality of the rock and all of that is actually super, super good. And in the current plan, we will have 4 stations. So we have the Ülemiste station, that is Tallinn Airport station. We have the Island station. We have the Otaniemi-Keilaniemi station. And then we have the airport station on the Helsinki side. And design goal right now is to be able to go from airport to airport in roughly 20 minutes. So that is pretty good reduction from the current 2 hours. And actually, if you do airport to airport, it's significantly more, because you, of course, have to take into account the airport to harbor, harbor to harbor to airport. So we're going to reduce that to 20 minutes. And if you look at then the station areas, all of them, we're now working with Fira. So Fira is the construction company, very well known here in Finland for their 2 2-week pipe repair, 2 viikon putkiremppa thing, that they actually were able to reduce the time it takes to do one of these like pipe repair jobs from months to just 2 weeks. And I mean, the way they did that is that they actually put like cameras in the apartments, and then they just observed what is going on. And everybody who has had any kind of like repair done in their house, we all know what is happening most of the time. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And actually this is also something that has been studied if you look at construction projects, be it like a pipe repair thing at your or a plumbing like repair at your house, or a tunnel project, or any like traditional construction project. 57% of the time is waste, basically nothing happening. So this is also one of the reasons why we know that we can build this tunnel and have the trains up and running the 24th of December 24, because we're doing this a bit differently. And so on the station areas, then once we have the tunnel done in like 2 years, the four station areas are all being designed to accommodate 50,000 new people, 50,000 new inhabitants. And that means that we'll have room for 200,000 new people in this Helsinki Tallinn metropolitan area, because we need to prepare for much, much faster growth going forward. So we don't want to end up as the next Stockholm or the next Silicon Valley. So meaning that housing prices get out of hand. If you ask Daniel Ek at Spotify, biggest challenge, okay, attracting talent that can actually afford to live in Stockholm. Or, I mean, if you go to Silicon Valley and you ask your friends, with good jobs at Facebook or Twitter or Apple or Google or what have you, then you ask them, okay, so where do you live then? Oh, I live in San Francisco together with 10 other Indian guys in the same room. And this is not like even a joke. I mean, that's like happens. And I've been telling them that in Finland it actually happens that some people even have their own room. And I even heard of people that have their own apartment. So it's like not totally unheard of. So again, the quality of life thing. But yeah, so we will build this tunnel, have it up and running 24th of December 24. And maybe the most important thing here is not the tunnel, but we are actually creating the biggest innovation platform with a 15 billion euro investment. So the biggest innovation platform when it comes to the future of mobility. So that's what we are really doing here. And we're going to have some announcements happening in that domain in the not too distant future. But in the end, it's not about the tunnel, it's about what it enables us to do. And one of the things is, again, delivering on the innovation needed for the future of mobility. So it's not just infrastructure. And I seem to have like 1 minute, so I could probably take some questions if anybody has anything that you want to ask.
Is this working? Is this on? Yeah. Is this on?
Hi, Peter. Love what you're doing. Just as a younger fellow here in Helsinki.
Closer to me.
Yeah, I would love to ask you, what would you say to those younger, very passionate people who get discouraged when they have crazy ideas like you and your team, and people are questioning them? Is this real? Are you joking? What would you say to these people so that they would actually go through with their plans and actually do something that everyone else thinks is nuts?
Yeah, and I think that probably like there's no like crazy people, crazy projects, but crazy people. But I think that crazy in a good way. And one of the things here is that just doing kind of like business as usual and doing what you are supposed to do, that never like ever really changed the world in any way. So I think that you need to kind of like believe in what you're doing, and then I don't really worry about people thinking that I'm crazy. I mean, I'm used to that, so that's that's okay. And now I'm totally focused on delivering on this tunnel project, and actually we started this environmental impact assessment, I guess is the English, so like YVA in Finnish, and had some very good meetings now with the ELY and AVI and all the different entities that you need to work with, and I think that we've had very good collaboration. But then there are a lot of people there that got concerned that, so you're really making this happen. And I say, yeah, of course. I mean, that's what we've been saying all along, that now we need to get the environmental impact assessment done. That is actually, we will have a public hearing we're going to submit the papers before midsummer, and then we will have a public hearing open for everybody in August, September, end of August probably. And then we can take it from there. And another thing that I think is very important part of how we are doing this, every month we have open meetup, open for the public. Every other month in Tallinn, every other month in Helsinki. Next one is actually here, 11th of June, and then we'll share the latest development on the environmental side, the latest more detailed planning process, and a lot of that. But again, there is a lot more detail that we basically have on our plans and the stations and everything, but okay, there's not enough time today. But if you have time, the 11th of June, you'll hear all the latest developments and also see more detail on what we're actually building. So we want to be very, very open about all the developments, and I think that the most important thing, of course, is that there needs to be public support. And I think that latest survey in Estonia found out that there's 63% of the population in favor of the tunnel. And of course, especially when we're not asking either Finland or Estonia, governments to cough up with any money, and not the EU either. So I think that then it's pretty easy to agree that, okay, fine, if it doesn't cost anything, it's okay. But yeah, of course, important to have public support. I think that that's very, very important. And that's again why we intend to be very open and very vocal about what we are doing, and because of that we've gotten a lot of fantastic ideas on how to improve the project. Everything from new technology for the bolts that will be used in the tunnel, new drilling technology, new composite materials for the tunnel. A lot of innovation has already been brought to the table, and we haven't even started boring yet. So I think that yeah, so far everything is going pretty much according to plan, and yeah, in 24 most welcome to ride the train. So
thank you so much.
Looking forward to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. I think that's the one question that we can ask from the floor, but stay put, because in about 10-15 minutes Peter will be back on stage.